always freezes at the beginning and I never know if I'm live or not. Gosh, look at my hair. Hello, hi. I've called this one How to Be Happy, because that's what it's about. I was going to call it something really clever, like How Happiness is Like Having a Flat Tummy or something, but I'm not terribly imaginative, and it is still... Oh, it's 10:30. It's still quite early in the morning in my head. I don't even know if anybody's going to manage to come online today because it is really late. I was going to do it. I was coming home from nursery at about 8:30 this morning. I was thinking I'd do it at 8:30 and get everybody. But then Samara took a long time to go into nursery this morning. And then I bumped into a dad from nursery and had a long chat with him, which was nice. And then I met a friend for coffee, which went on for a bit longer than I thought it would. And I don't care because I've had quite a nice time. Haven't actually managed to get any work done yet today, but I can always cram it all in later, so it's not a problem. So today's video topic, I'm trying to do videos more often. So I am, you know, if you've got requests for things you want me to talk about, then do let me know. In the meantime, today's topic is how to be happy. Now, as somebody who has suffered with depression, suffered with depression for a long time, on and off, had a massive breakdown, took a long time to recover, had a crappy time when my child was born, didn't feel terribly fantastic about life for a long, long time. And now I look at my life and I think, actually, no, I'm quite happy. And it occurred to me that, like, I said at the beginning, I was going to call this video, you know, why happiness is like having a flat stomach. And the reason they're similar is because both of it is something you have to work on. And we tend to think of happiness as like, this will happen, something will happen in my life, and then I will be happy. This thing, and it'll be like a line drawn in the sand, then I'll be happy. That for me, certainly, that's not been the case. Even, you know, whether these things happen or not, especially if something does happen. So you think to yourself, you know, when I am earning this much money, or when I weigh this much, or when I this whatever, you know, the line will be drawn and I will be happy. We tend to think, then I will be happy. And then that thing happens, and quite often you've been building up to it so much, thinking that, you know, when I finally get there, that you get there and there's just a massive letdown and you're not happy, and that makes you feel even worse. So yeah, so it takes a lot of effort, I think, to be happy, and it is an ongoing thing where you have to kind of, you know, take a temperature every day and think, you know, do I need to put a bit more effort in today? And I think that's kind of happiness is sold to us as this thing that we can get, if we buy products, or if we go on holidays to certain destinations, if we do certain things, then we'll be happy. As if it is like flicking a switch and then we'll be happy. And nobody tends to kind of explain, or I've never felt like anybody's really explained it to me, that you have to put some work in, and it's an ongoing thing, and you have to do the work every day. Certainly for me, with my mental health background, if I don't do the work every day, I do slip quite quickly and I do feel quite crappy. So I think that's just something to kind of bear in mind, if you're kind of looking at trying to be more happy, that you just kind of need to focus on it every day. Anyway, so I've got 5 points, five things that to do to kind of help yourself along the way to being happy. And the first thing is to help other people for no reason. Now, I spoke to somebody about this and they're like, but when you help people and they don't appreciate it, you kind of have to let go of the idea of somebody appreciating what you do, or wanting somebody to say thank you even. That's not why you're doing it. And when I say helping people for no reason, I don't mean I'm going to come and help you pack all your bags and move house, or, you know, I'm going to look after your kids every day and not expect anything in return. What I mean is like little things like opening the door for somebody, or giving someone your parking ticket if it's still got a couple of hours left on it. You know, simple little things that you can do. And when you don't expect anything in return, then it doesn't matter what their response is. But quite often, you hold the door open for somebody, they say thank you. If you give someone your parking ticket, I don't know, I guess they're quite appreciative of that. You know, and it's little things like that that I think, you know, over time, when you do something like that, it makes you feel good about yourself, makes you feel happy. And if you can do that on a regular basis, it can help to kind of boost your mood. And that's kind of, I don't know, for me, helping people, and the key thing is not expecting anything. So not expecting them to appreciate it, not being attached to whether they appreciate it. So just being kind of, just doing nice things for people, helping people, not for them necessarily, but for you as a kind of a selfish act, makes you feel nice. I have a friend who does this all the time. He bought me a TV because it made him feel good about himself, and I was quite, well, it makes me feel good too, so thanks, you know. But that was, you know, he does nice things for people to feel good about himself, to feel, not feel good about himself, but to make himself feel happy, and it does. And it's scientifically proven that if you do things to help other people, that is the best way to make yourself feel good. And if you're feeling depressed, quite often you don't want to do anything, you don't want to make conversation with people, you don't. So maybe just like give a fiver to charity, or share something on your Facebook to help other people. You know, do just little things to help people out. If you don't feel like chatting to people, if you don't feel like going out of the house, you don't have to. You can still do things. You know, there's social media, there's plenty of other ways that you can do something to help somebody without having to kind of do stuff you're not comfortable with, even if it's just like, I can't talk to people, I can't go out of the house, I can't make conversation. There are still things you can do, and you just kind of need to put a bit of effort into thinking about what you can do. But for me, even simple things like saying good morning to the person serving your coffee. I read this thing somewhere and I thought it was absolutely depressing. It was somebody in London spoke to the person in, I don't know, Costa, wherever, and was like, oh, morning, how are you? And they said, you're the first person that's actually seen me today. Especially in a coffee shop, you know, you're serving people who've not had their caffeine yet, they're grumpy. Just be nice to people. Morning, how are you? You know, open the door for somebody, say good morning to people on the street. All of those things are really simple, and they all boost my mood, they all make me feel good, and it is scientifically proven, as I say, that helping other people helps you to feel happy. So the second thing, you know, second way to be happy, it's a really kind of happy, not help. Well, I suppose they go together, but yeah. The second thing is a really kind of a wishy-washy statement, but believe that you're worthy. And by that I mean, kind of think to yourself. So I think when I was really depressed, I kind of felt like, well, you don't really deserve to be happy. You're a bad person, and you shouldn't kind of feel happy. You don't deserve to have people care about you and things like that. And then I kind of, you know, afterwards I thought about it, and I thought, well, if you don't think you're worth it, you're not going to get it in any respect for anything, really. So for me, kind of believe you're worthy, kind of say to yourself, I deserve to be happy. And you don't need to say that out loud, but for me, I found in certain instances where I feel particularly rubbish, if I kind of have that in the back of my head, you're worth it, you deserve to be happy, you deserve this, you do deserve this, you are worth being happy, and keep saying it to yourself, even if you don't believe it, even if you think it's a load of rubbish, even if you think you really are the last person in the world that deserves to be happy, keep thinking it and saying it to yourself, and eventually it will go in, but you have to keep saying it to yourself. And I'm doing that because you kind of have it in the back of your head, and just kind of say it over and over and over again to yourself. And eventually it kind of makes you feel a bit better, and it makes you feel worthy. And if you think you're worth happiness, then you go out and find happiness. And like I said, it is something you need to work on every day. And if you don't think you're worth it, you won't put the effort in to try and be happy, to find happiness. So yeah, you need to believe you're worth doing it, worth the effort. The third way to be happy is, again, something that's scientifically proven. Work on your gratitude. Feel grateful for the things that you have. So, you know, things like, it has been, I can't remember who it was, I saw a TED talk by this guy at Harvard who was like, they did a study with people that they had them keep a diary where they wrote down every evening three good things about their day. And that very act of doing that trained their brains to look for the positive. I think we're all trained to look for the negative, and it isn't a natural thing that it's kind of, I guess, left over from the days when we had to look for lions around the corner or whatever. We had to kind of look for the bad things for survival. But these days you don't need to look out for lions, but we still look for the bad things. And the more you look for something, the more you see it. So if you get a green car, you're more likely, or if you're looking for green cars, you're likely to see them everywhere, whereas on a daily basis you're not going to notice them. So this act of kind of picking three things out of your day that have been a good thing, so something you're grateful for. So I do this at night, and I do three great things, and I might choose cuddles with Samara, or we had a nice walk. Yesterday, one of my three things was that we went to the museum with a friend and had a nice morning. But some days we haven't done anything like that, you know, a specific thing. So I might say it was nice that Samara sat and did her colouring, or that we did some colouring together, or that we did this, or that I didn't get grumpy at bedtime, whatever. So you pick your three things, and if you do that over time, your brain gets more used to looking for the positives. It gets more used to picking out positive things from any situation, positive or negative. And that kind of practice helps you to be more happy, because it helps you to look for happiness. But also, just think about it. If you think about it, I was talking to somebody this morning. You know, you look at people in Syria. If you were born in Syria, imagine if you'd been born there, and you know, there were bombs going off all around you. You didn't know if you were going to live or die. You couldn't call the police for help. There's nobody you can call for help. You know, the best case scenario is that you get into, I don't know, some rubber dinghy or something, and pay somebody to ship you across to another country where you might just get sent back anyway, you know. That, we are so lucky. I complain all the time about where I live, but actually, I live somewhere really nice where everybody knows everybody. Not everybody's really friendly, but there are lots of friendly people. My neighbours say good morning to me. People recognise my daughter in the street and say hello to her. You know, I get sent free stuff because I'm a blogger. I get to go on days out and stuff. You know, I have a good life. Everything's good. So, you know, try and think of, it's easy, I think, to look at the negatives and to see that yesterday I only had £6 in the bank and I could have been quite miserable about that. The other day we went out for Armed Forces Day and I didn't have enough money for Samara to go on more than one ride, and I could have got quite upset about that, but in the end what we actually did was go home and do some drawing instead, and that didn't cost any money. And for a 4-year-old, I don't think there's really much difference in terms of the levels of enjoyment between drawing and going on a ride. They love it. So, you know, just be it sounds really like trite to say be happy with what you've got, but kind of just make an effort to be grateful for what you have, because that can make a real difference to your level of happiness. If you're constantly thinking from a stance of without, like I'm without this and I don't have that and I need that and I wish I had this and I don't have enough money and I don't have any clothes that fit me and I don't have nice food and then of course you're going to feel miserable. But if you look at it as kind of, I have lots of nice clothes, I've got something that fits me today, I've got something I can wear today, I've got food in the cupboard, I don't need to have money. You know, if you look at it from, it's about changing where you're looking at it from, and that takes practice. And I think a lot of the time we tend to think, I know I'm just naturally a grumpy person. Yeah, I'm quite grumpy if I let myself be, but you have to kind of not force yourself, but just kind of encourage yourself by having a daily practice where you consciously make the effort to sit down and think, what is good in my life? And that really does help. Although it sounds like something out of a self-help book, and it probably is in several self-help books, it helps. So, you know, what's the worst you can do if you try? The fourth way to be happy, I don't think you'll be surprised by this one, is daydream or meditate. And I put daydream or meditate because when you say to people meditation helps, you always get people saying, I can't meditate, I don't know how to, I don't know. And fine, okay, if you're going to believe that you can't do it, then you're not going to be able to do it. But also, you know, for some people it is like meditation, it seems like a bit woo-woo and a bit hippie-ish and a bit, I'm not a hippie, I work in the city, or, you know, whatever, and I don't want to meditate. Fine, don't meditate. But make time to sit and daydream about how you'd like your life to be. And that's not a kind of, oh, I wish I lived in a nice house and I don't, I live in this, oh no. Because that can make you quite miserable. But if you think, people kind of laugh at me and I go, one of these days I'm going to live in a nice house by the beach and we're going to have a nice garden. And people go, oh yeah, whatever. But I talk to Samara about it as well, and we talk about it, and she, you know, our house is going to have a purple door, and she'll quite often say, in our next house, will we have blah, 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 and we talk about it, and I just think it's good to have something to aim for, but also kind of the daydreaming thing does make you feel a bit happier about life. It makes you think about the possibilities there are. You know, how are you going to get what you want if you don't even know what you want? So you kind of have to think about what you want on a very kind of basic level. Do I want to live in a house or a flat? Do I want to have a garden? Do I want to have this? If you don't know what you want, you can't aim for what you want. Also with the meditation, I would say, yesterday, I'm quite pleased with myself. I want a gold star. I hit 40 days in a row of meditating. Some of those days I've only done 10 minutes, and some days I've done an hour. And I think I'm on something like 1,000 minutes or something for June. And that I'm quite pleased with that. And I do feel like that's made a difference to me. I still get a bit down and a bit fed up, but I think I pull myself out of it quicker. And I think that's the difference, really, for me, between depression and just kind of a low-level meh. I also do need to work on my diet for that, I think, at the moment as well, because I've allowed myself to slip. But meditation for me has been a massive kind of, almost a game changer, really, in the terms of the way that I feel about my life, and kind of how much motivation I have for my life as well. And I'd recommend it to anybody and everybody. So I did a video about that, which you can find on my Facebook page or on my YouTube, because I uploaded it to YouTube yesterday, so go and have a look for that. That was number 4. The fifth one, the last one, is exercise, but it's not in the way that you think. So you can exercise to lose weight, and that's quite nice, and you might lose weight, and that's quite nice. But I find I've actually put on 4 pounds in the last few weeks, because my diet has gone just... I've not been thinking properly about what I've been eating at all, and being a single parent, you get home in the evening, and if you've not planned beforehand what you're going to eat and there's nothing in the cupboard, you can't just go out. And I don't have money for takeout, but also I don't really like takeout, so I end up just either not eating or eating rubbish, and that's reflected in my mood, in my skin, in my weight, in every aspect. So that's I need to work on. But and going back to the exercise, I now don't exercise to lose weight, because I know that what's that say? You can't outrun your fork. You can't outrun your fork. If you're not eating properly, you're not going to lose weight, and it doesn't matter unless you're exercising every minute of every day. It doesn't matter. So I've kind of changed my thinking on the exercise, but I still do it, and I do it because on the days that I exercise, I feel good. And in that, I mean, I get up at 5:15 to exercise. So on a very basic level, there is that kind of smug, I got up at 5:15 and I exercised. I sweated before you'd even woken up. There's that feeling. But there's also, you get the endorphins going and the blood pumping, and it wakes you up, and then you're kind of, instead of, the days that I don't exercise, I tend to, even if I have a shower or don't have a shower, I kind of trudge down the stairs and like zombie, like reach for the coffee, and I sit down and it's hard to get going. Whereas if I've exercised, I've woken myself up, I feel more perky and awake, and then I go upstairs, have a shower, come back down, coffee or no coffee, I don't really mind. I'm kind of, you know, I'm moving around and I feel good. And you get that nice feeling of, I'm doing that because it really, you know, I did loads of push-ups in the morning and I'm still aching from it. Sometimes it's quite annoying, I'd quite like to not ache, but actually it's a nice feeling to know that I'm working muscles I've not worked for a long, long time, years now, since I've done proper workouts like this. And I feel like that's made a massive difference to me. So I would say, you know, even if you think, God, I hate exercise, I don't want to, then maybe get up and do a bit of, you know, light stretching or yoga. Sign up for a challenge. I signed up for the Betty Rocker challenge, where you do, it's a 30-day challenge, and she sends you an email with a workout every single day for 30 days. I've just got to day 15, and it was like getting over a hump, and this morning I did not want to get out of bed, and that was to do with my diet, not being tired from exercise, because it's only 15 minutes, and come on, it is my diet, and I know it's my diet, and I've kind of had that realisation this morning that, come on Vicky, you can't keep doing this, because I did the drop a dress size challenge for a month, and I felt fantastic, and it was a real shock this week where I was, Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock, I was yawning, I was like really tired and felt like I could go back to bed, and I was like, I can't remember the last time I was like actually yawning in the daytime. And that is because of the way that my diet has changed. And now that I can see that, I'm 35 years old, people. It's taken me 35 years to realise if I don't eat properly, I get tired, I feel rubbish, you know, my skin breaks out, I don't feel good, all of these things. Before, I didn't really pay attention, I think, to the way things were, which is probably how I ended up having a massive nervous breakdown and getting, you know, all over the place. But yeah, I think exercise for me now is about how I feel and not necessarily about how I look. Yes, it's nice to see that, you know, my muscles are maybe getting a bit of definition. It's nice to have that kind of ache in your limbs when you've done a good workout. It's nice to see that you're feeling a bit better, and maybe you can do more burpees or more jump squats or whatever. That's all very nice, but for me it's about how I feel when I've finished. And what's that? When I do Pio, I do a Pio DVD sometimes, and that's Shalene Johnson, and she always says, you know, I'm not worried about whether you're getting the exact right posture, I'm not worried about this, all I care about is that you feel better when you're done. And for me, that's really stuck with me. And so when my alarm goes off at 5:15 and I think, God, I don't want to get out of bed, oh, I'm so tired, I don't want to, I tend to, like, it's like this voice kicks in and says, but you'll feel better when you're done. And more importantly, if you don't do it, how are you going to get through the rest of the day? You're going to feel like crap. And then I get up. I'm sorry if you can hear loads of banging. My window's open, I've got to close it, I'm not very clever. And there's a lorry outside, so sorry about that. So yeah, those were my 5 ways to be happy. So I will try and do this without keeping looking down. 5 ways to be happy. I'll recap now. So help other people for no reason and expecting nothing in return. Believe that you're worth being happy. I think probably I should have put that as number 1, because I think that's the biggest thing. Practice gratitude, so, you know, be thankful and really think about the things you've got to be grateful for. Daydream or meditate. I would prefer to meditate, but I think daydreaming has its place as well, and you can do one or the other. And exercise, definitely the exercise as well. Oh, I've just banged something, sorry. So I hope you found that even vaguely useful. You can find my blogging tips and things on singlemotherhoy.com, and at the end of every post there should be a little box where you can sign up to my mailing list, where obviously you will get lots of amazing things emailed to you. I actually don't send out newsletters very often. You get a weekly update of the posts that I've done, and once a month, if I remember, I send out a newsletter. Sometimes there are exclusive competitions. Hopefully not this month, next month there should be a good competition in there. But yeah, get in touch whichever way you can. And also, oh, I can't find it now. I have a book, and you can go to smahoy.com/be-down-book. Or if you just go to singlemotherhoy.com, there is a link on the right hand side of my blog posts there where you can get my book, which is rather marvellous if I do say so myself, and I'm really trying to promote it at the moment because I didn't do very well at promoting it when I put it out. I'm working on a second book at the moment, so fingers crossed I can get that out at some point. Anyway, right, I'm going to go off, have a lovely Thursday. I'm going to see a personal trainer this afternoon, and then Samara has an early finish at nursery today, so we're going to come home and have lots of cuddles and probably watch Bubble Guppies. Have a fantastic Thursday, everybody. Take care.